Hello friends, I'm so excited that you decided to join us on our 12-week summer scale challenge. You are on level 3, which is 2 octave scales or more. Each week I'm going to record a short YouTube tutorial for you to follow along and get the most out of your practice. We'll cover the basics, the goal, and a challenge if you want to take your scale study even further. This week's scales are C major and A minor. Let's get started. Okay, here are the basics on your C major 2 octave scale. If you've never played a 2 octave scale before, the fingering for the second octave is exactly the same as the first octave. To review, a 1 octave C major scale looks like this. We land with finger 5 on C and then turn around and come back down. If you wanted to do another octave, the second octave would start with your thumb on C. So the real fingering change happens actually when we go from B to C. Other than that, the fingering for each scale is the same. You're just building one on top of the next. So in order to get to the second octave, we are going to follow our regular fingering. And then instead of landing on finger 5 here, you're going to do another cross, just like you did in your first octave. You're going to put your thumb onto C and then continue your way up the scale. And then you're going to come back down the way you came. I'd like to take this chance to remind you that really kind of swift, clean crosses and completing your crosses is going to be really important to your agility and to your tone. So when you cross, make sure your hand comes right over. Make sure you control your thumb as it sinks in so we don't get a loud thud each time you cross. And fold your hand over quickly so that it's ready for the next few notes. Your left hand, again, is going to follow the same pattern it did in 1 octave. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You ran out of fingers, so go to 3. Now, we're on finger 1, right? We're going to cross with finger 4 and pull your hand right around. Then 3, 2, 1. So if you notice, we're alternating crossing on 3s, then 4s, then 3s. This rule is going to be the same throughout all of your scales in all of your octaves. So the goal is to play with your hands together up and down the C major scale. Again, I want to remind you that it doesn't matter how fast you play them as long as it's steady. So if you're playing slowly, it could sound like this. And you may want to work on feeling your finger at the bottom of each key. That's totally okay. Direct your fingers really mindfully. If you're ready to play them faster, that's totally okay too. As long as your tempo is even, whatever tempo works for you is fine. Let's dig into our A harmonic minor scale. You already know the 1 octave scale looks like this. So we're simply going to follow the same rules for the C major scale, the same fingering, and do it in A minor. Finger 1s fall on A. Here's where my left hand crosses on finger 4. If you find that your descending scales are much trickier than your ascending scales, you are not alone. A lot of times descending scales is much harder to follow your fingering especially when you're playing 2 octaves. Part of this is because a lot of us tend to feel more dominant in the right hand. Even left-handed people tend to feel more dominant in the right hand at the piano. But the other factor is that your left hand crosses first on the way down, and your left hand generally doesn't feel comfortable being a leader. It doesn't feel comfortable playing away from the thumb either. So when you're coming down, this is the hand that crosses first, and it has to keep track. This is your 3 cross. Then your right hand crosses the 3 cross after it. Left hand's crossing on 4 here. Your right hand will cross on 4 right after. Left hand 3, right hand 3. So it's a good idea to practice your scales, your 2-octave scales specifically, coming down first and then coming up. It'll give you a lot more traction when you get into the 3-octave scales if you feel more comfortable coming down. So that's it for your 2-octave scale study this week. If these are old news and you're on 3 or 4 octaves, try your scales lots of different ways this week. You can try them in long, short patterns, short, long patterns, play them on different areas of the piano, work on speed, work with a metronome and see if you can see where your happy tempo is and then increase it just a little bit. Play your scales and listen back. Maybe listen for tone. Do your crosses sound like you're kind of thudding into the keys a little bit? Do they sound nice and even? You can work on breathing through your scales. So if you're on 3-octave scales, take a deep breath before you play. And then exhale as you begin to play. And then maybe take another breath. And then descending. And see if you can measure your breath by the time you get to the end of the scale. If you need some ideas for how to practice your scales and to kind of shake up your scale practice, I'll put a link to our other video in the comments. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel so you can keep track each week of our Summer Scale Challenge. If you've completed these scales, make sure to comment on this video or on our Facebook page and we will be cheering you on. I hope you have fun playing your scales and I hope you enjoy the music in your home this week.